for everyone to be clear on this, you're a neighboring country to Ukraine, but in between the two countries, there's a breakaway region, Transnistria, where there's right now Russian troops stationed there. We heard explosions happening there at the start of the week. And I have to ask you, and I wish I didn't have to, or put it this bluntly, but Mr. Popescu, do you fear that Vladimir Putin is going to bring war to your country?
Listen, indeed, we have a separatist territory. It's called the Transnistrian region of Moldova. We have had 1,300 Russian troops since 30 years ago. But throughout all of this period, the situation has been calm and peaceful in the last 30 years. We've been engaged in a dialogue, in a peaceful dialogue with the Transnistrian de facto authorities, with the help and mediation of Ukraine, Russia, the EU, the US, and the OSCE. So until the outbreak of this war, over 2 months ago, the situation was reasonably peaceful and quiet. Now, of course, this war is making every single person on the European continent less secure, every single country less secure. Of course, this insecurity is affecting us as well. And especially with these explosions that we heard a few days ago in Transnistria, this situation is, of course, far from being easy. It's quite tense. We as a government are preparing for the full spectrum of threats and contingencies. At the same time, in our assessment, Moldova is not about to become an immediate or imminent target for hostile military action. So the situation is, as we speak today and yesterday, it was calm. These explosions are putting a lot of stress. They are increasing tensions. This we know, but at the same time, the situation remains calm. And in our assessment, Moldova is not about to become a target for direct military aggression or hostilities.
Of Russian intervention. But Mr. Popescu, when you hear Sergei Lavrov saying on TV, we hope that Russia doesn't have to get involved in this, doesn't that worry you? We've seen Russia repeatedly deny things, and then that's exactly what they do. Do you worry about this language coming out of the Kremlin repeatedly every day?
Listen, we've been increasingly worried for a long time. As I told you, we've had this separatist conflict for 30 years. We had Russian troops. We always insisted and continue to insist on the withdrawal of Russian troops, which are not stationed legally here. And of course, especially in the last 2 months, we are more worried. At the same time, as I said, we're doing our best to keep the situation calm. My colleagues from the government, we have a deputy prime minister in charge of reintegration, has been in regular touch in the last weeks and months with the Transnistrian de facto authorities. Even yesterday, he met the Transnistrian leader. And we are all very clear here, the absolute majority of people living on the legal territory of the Republic of Moldova, which includes the absolute majority of people living in Transnistria, do not want to live in a war zone. There are some provocateurs, indeed, who try to destabilize, but we're doing our best to keep the situation calm. And we're in regular touch with the separatist authorities of Transnistria. And we want to make sure that war is not imported on our territory.
But then, can you tell me about these explosions then? Who did them? What information do you have? I mean, do you have any intel that suggests actually this was done by Russian-backed separatists? Who made these explosions then?
So, as I said, we don't control this territory. We don't have police there. We cannot collect forensics. We don't have access to CCTV cameras. But in our understanding and from what we have, of course, several hypotheses that we're working through, and we don't have a clear-cut answer. But at this stage, our understanding is that these provocations and explosions were staged by internal forces that want to stoke up tensions, want to destabilize, want to create more psychological stress, more economic stress, more socioeconomic stress for the entire of Moldova, including the Transnistrian region. But nonetheless, as I said, we're doing our best to and we hope that this will be, one-off events rather than the beginning of some much more negative trends. And we're doing our best to be preparing for the full spectrum of scenarios, for the full spectrum of contingencies. And while doing so, we're also in touch with the Transnistrian authorities to keep the situation calm.
And sir, just And just as a final question, however, are you in talks with the European Union about this? Because you say we're doing our best to avoid escalation, but everyone here is very worried about escalation, particularly in this context. Have you been in touch with the European Union about how they could potentially help you?
Absolutely. I'm talking, we have today a delegation from the OSCE, including the OSCE chairmanship, which is Poland. I spoke today on the phone to the Romanian foreign minister, to the Spanish and Swedish foreign minister. In the last couple of days, I spoke to the French and Italian foreign ministers. So we're in touch with everyone, with our partners, with our supporters, and we're really working full time to keep the situation calm here.